Well, good evening and welcome to the Go Tape Golden Valley Football Show. Big show for you tonight. Big surprise a little bit later on. A classic interview with a classic footballing man. But before we get into it, first off, Guy Morphs. Good evening, Guy. How are you?
Good evening, David. How are you?
I understand you can't buy a bed and breakfast in Seymour after what you had to say about them last week.
Well, it's we're good. Seymour are good.
You caned them.
We're here.
You caned them.
We're here.
Don't come out and say you caned them, didn't you?
We're here to be objective.
Did you cane them or not?
And Foxy and myself both picked them to win.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Straight off the top.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about it as the show goes through.
John Ryan, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, Foxy. It's lovely to be here on this very, very chilly night.
It is a chilly night. John, pretty interesting thing came out in the paper this week, and I know the Golden Valley League have brought in the 40 Winks Award.
Yep.
And there were some interesting facts and figures and one thing and another. I guess I think it was a great innovation by Simon Devine to run it up against you, just to have a look at where you're placed.
Yeah.
You'd be happy with the end result, I guess?
Oh, well, they've got to around 11 sort of to pick what they pick, and the coaches have picked it, of course. And we only had till round 4 to pick it, but I've gone through most of them, and I think there's only one that wasn't in my top 50, and that was George Burberry, who at the time was injured anyway, and he wasn't playing. And probably the only other ones would they talk about would be Will Martinello, who's not in the top 23.
Willie Martinello didn't make the top 23. That
staggers me.
It staggers you, and I'll tell you two others that stagger me too. Guy, you must have a stagger or two in you, but
stagger or a dagger?
Are you going to get it out, or are you just going to choke?
BJ Squires, let me tell you this. Got a little bit of windy poo.
Yeah, don't let it come out the other end.
I think I ate that seventh dim sim just a little bit quick as we were getting there.
I garlic.
I could have a body cough, and then we'd all be in trouble.
Yeah.
But I think BJ Squires.
Yeah, look,
he's come.
He's last month. Yeah, he's coming on. He was a bit quieter early, but his last month's been very, very good. But Will Martinello, he's been in Benala's best 9 times.
Yeah.
Now, don't tell me the coaches can't say that. I think the trouble with Will Martinello is now that Will Martinello has 28 possessions, and they say he's had it every day.
You're right. I think people get to expect Will Martinello to be so good, and he is, and I think probably people start to judge him a little bit harder than what it is.
Well, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
They're judging him hard now, where last year he got 3 votes for the games, now he's getting nothing.
Who cares anyway? Talk about blokes pumping their tyres. What about this?
Go, tell me.
Well, it's all very close to my top 50. I've probably only had one difference.
Well,
talk about it.
If you want to
get
go
more air in
through
your tyres, John.
Oh, no.
Kane Morris, the big mate up there at Tatura, Kano, I cannot tell you how stiff you are not to be recognised for what you've been doing on a football field since the start of the season. And I reckon you're really hard on BJ Squire saying he wasn't that good early. He's been good all year. He's been
very good the last month.
You lost Lockie Smith. You said Lockie Smith's been quiet. Lockie Smith was out injured for about 4 weeks.
Oh, that's crap. Absolutely crap.
Don't forget next week.
Don't make excuses for him. He was up there till the end of the league. That was round 5.
Lockie has missed. Hang on.
I want the news, not the weather report.
Lockie has missed at least 4 weeks. Well, it's spitting outside of us, but he's spitting inside.
I know.
How many weeks do you reckon Lockie Smith missed?
I'd probably say I would have thought 3. Oh, he played last week.
I reckon he's missed 4.
So before that...
And he played up till the end of the league.
But you said he's been quiet.
He has. He's gone off the boil a bit.
Have you seen his 3-wheeler? You'd understand for why if you saw his misses.
Yeah. He's missed a couple of weeks.
But he'll come back
Don't
with
make excuses.
They're coming. My mob, the Saints, get on board.
They're coming.
They're Premiership favourites. Don't worry about that.
They are not.
Believe me.
I'll tell you what, you are on drugs.
No, they're Premiership favourites. Don't worry about it.
Rochester on top, undefeated.
It's okay. Benalla are the side to beat.
Well, I've heard. Well, Guy?
I disagree.
This time last year, the shoe was on the other foot, Benalla on top, undefeated. Mm-hmm. Premiership favourites?
Did they win?
Oh, that's a pretty hurtful thing to say.
No.
Now, you lost him for a long time, John, with your smarty-warty top 50.
Got him motivated. No. And, by the way, Lukey was back in the best players this week.
No.
Did you see it? Old mate Lukey.
Number 22 goes
He's
all right.
working his way back into the top 50.
And they tell me the big fella went in the ruck, big Nick Warnock.
Yes.
And the fatherhood agrees with Nick. He's travelling beautifully. Now,
carry on.
Let's get into the scoreboard from last week, okay? In a tight game and a surprise to everybody involved in football in the Go-TAFE Golden Valley Football League, I can tell you.
I wasn't surprised.
Yes, you were. You were hiding. He hasn't got out of his glove box until Tuesday at 7 o'clock last night. It was Seymour in a thriller by 2 points over Kyabram, but more importantly, they beat Kai at Kai. And we won't get into better players, but you, Robinson, what a fantastic game you played. Well done, mate. And
you did do a very
great
good job.
Performance. The Swans were way too good for Tatura by 74 points. Rochi, well, United were with them for a long time, Johnny, but Rochi still went on to win by 30 points. Mansfield, I thought, they were a chance, but they won by 34 points up at Tatura. That's a great win. Benalla, well, I said last week that they had to sort of close me up a little bit, and they certainly did. Almost defeating Maroopna by
Foxy.
55. They certainly did. And Euroa, a great win. I thought Shepparton and Matcham, they were with them till half time. Guy, you were there, but it was Euroa by 38 points. That sees our ladder. Rochester on top, undefeated on 40. Kyabram in second position on 28. Euroa on 26. Benalla, the Swans and Maroopna are all on 24. Then you've got Seymour and Mansfield just outside the 6, with United, Echuca, Shepparton and Tatura are on the bottom of the ladder. Our goal kicking, John.
Yep.
Sees Big Harry Madden had the week off last week, but still maintains the lead on 48. But my man is coming, and he rang me up to tell me he was too. Josh Mellington, he kicked a lazy 9 last week. I'm tipping, I wouldn't mind having a little bit each way, that Josh Mellington could kick 30 goals in the next 3 weeks, John.
Yep.
And take him, he's on 45.
Including last week, you mean?
No. In the next 3 weeks, yeah, he could.
Okay.
If he gets up and about and starts hitting sides,
Yeah.
He's on 45 as we speak. Billy Burston kicked 2 to take him to 39. Steve Steve is on 34 goals.
Pretty important, Euroa Benalla this weekend, Foxy. Positions on the ladder can change there. So a big game for Euroa this weekend, Guy.
Absolutely.
Very big.
It certainly is. And the broadcast game for this week is Seymour versus Echuca. Seymour will play host to Echuca at home from their great home ground advantage they've got down there. That should be a beauty as well. Okay, Johnny.
Yes.
Got a message from him. We're going to see him now. Did you know the Grizwold?
The Grizwolds? Oh, yes.
Have you heard about the Rochester vacation?
Yes.
Well, if you have a look here, now what I want you to see here, you'll see Granny, which is Eileen. She's on the couch, but on the chair there, comfortable. She's got James and the big fella Connor are sitting right alongside their Granny, and they're watching Foxy on the GB Footy show. They block out you two blokes, they just feature on my melon. Right?
Yeah.
But the bloke who gets home, and you know what he's like on Friday nights when he gets home, has got conservatively 15 cans in the Marty Corelli. And I'm talking about Papa Griswold. You'll see a photo of Papa here.
Because he wasn't in the main photo.
No, you couldn't get that. Have a look at the melon on Papa here. It's a shock and scone.
Yeah.
And a new group of people that they went to the most famous pub in Australia last week in Tatura. And Johnny, you were there with them. They were down there. You can tell us who was there with you. You'll see their photo here.
So the photo just coming up now. There was Paul and Julie, Wendy and Wolf, Sue Allen, Sue and Jonesy, Killer, Craig, Peter, and of course Bugs, the famous Bugs at the moment. And all these people, they watch the footy show, and we were down there Friday night having a couple of quiet ones, and they said, look, we want to go on the footy show, we watch it every week, so we took a photo, and there they are. There's your photo.
Good on them. Keep sending them in. I like that.
Yep.
Now, you've kept something a little bit secret.
Have I?
The movie, the hit movie Jumanji, and Euroa, if you go to Euroa, one of our own boys up there, Abe Anchors, starred, and you'll see his twin brother alongside him. They didn't call for an extra at all. It was Abe and his brother that featured all the way through it. G'day to all the people in the Alice Springs.
If you've ever watched Jumanji, that movie, that is one of the best lookalikes I've ever seen.
It's not, it's the real deal.
The old big head Abe Anchors, that is sensational.
Who's Jumanji?
It's a movie, Jumanji.
I've got to tell you the absolute truth. I thought it was
Look it up.
I thought it was a bungee cord.
I thought someone was jumping out of the clouds.
Now, so did I. I have to tell you.
I'm working with Dumb and Dumber here.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Anyway, have a look. I told you if you give him any drugs you're going to take, it's going right to his head. He ain't that good. I told you.
Anyone watches a movie like that, I know is dumb.
Come on.
Last week, we left early and we went up to the Kyabram football ground and got to meet the coach. Fantastic fellow, the coach.
Justin Sherman, yes.
Yeah, look, a really nice guy, but I had the privilege to spend a bit of time with Ken Sheldon. Ken's a 3-time Premiership player at Carlton.
Legend.
But he's also one of the great country people. He's never forgot his grassroots, Ken Sheldon. He's had a huge week this week, Johnny. He's been to see Ross Lyon over in Perth. He came to my place at Loxley there to interview me about the Carlton job, and he went out to Tatura to see whether you were available.
Yes.
But luckily for me, I had 10 minutes with Ken last week, and I could tell you right now, I'm dirty, and I should have stayed with him for another 20 minutes. But right now,
he's a bloke you talk to and interview for an hour. By the way, we gave him one of our t-shirts.
T-shirts, yeah.
For the people out there, you'll see it in the interview, and we put his name on the bottom, Kenny. And then, of course, down the end, we added a little bit. That ball was out of bounds. Yeah. He thought that was very, very funny, and he quite enjoyed it. But, yeah, look, have a look at you.
And I'll tell you something else Kenny did. He got $50 for it out in the car park. But here's Ken Sheldon.
Well, good day and welcome to the Go Tape Golden Valley Footy Show. Today, Ken Sheldon from the Cobra Football Club. His boy plays here. Ken's record in football speaks for himself. And a long time ago, Ken, you built your reputation playing for Mediamo. Is that right up the bush up here?
Yeah, the Superoos, Foxy, that's right. In the Loddon Valley League.
Yep.
John Forbes and Mediamo Football Club, where we grew up. My father played there, coached us as kids, and my brother Brett, my brother-in-law Wayne, we all played under Dad's guidance in the juniors. Yeah.
Now, I was talking to a fellow yesterday, and I know he's a great mate, he was a great family friend, and I speak of Trevor Pollard. Yeah. And he talks about a young, cheeky kid that played on a wing one day that kicked 11 goals off a wing. Would that have been you?
Well, yeah, then they blew the whistle, said have the warm-up, I think. Look, they were good days. We had some really good senior players around, and I suppose when you had speed in bush football like that was, or is still, if you can get a bit of space where you can do a bit of magic, I suppose. Yeah.
Yep. Now tell me this: when did you first get approached by the Carlton Football Club, or alternatively, was Carlton the first approach you had?
Yes, it was, Foxy. We were zoned in those days. So this is in the in the early 70s. As a 14-year-old, I played in the under-15 schoolboy side. We went to Brisbane, and I was fortunate enough to be selected in the All-Australian team. Then in those days they used to have recruiting staff that would come up and watch you play. In those days I would often play in the thirds and sit on the bench, run the boundary in the reserve and sit on the bench in the seniors. Like it was sort of like that. Numbers were a bit tight. And then when I was 15, I started playing in the seniors.
Okay.
Played along with my father with one game, and from there they invited us down on what they called permits. So in the pre-season they would bring you down, introduce you to the Carlton Football Club.
Yep.
Understand a bit of the machinations of how it worked, and put you on a training track.
Now, Bert Deegan would have been the secretary in those days, I guess.
Yeah, he'd just gone. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, just recently gone. Yeah.
You probably at that stage, if you went down there at that time, Ken, they were the most powerful and feared side in the competition. That'd be fair to say. I mean, Hawthorn are a great side today. We know that Fremantle are offering plenty, but Carlton, their reign, were a fantastically powerful side, weren't they?
Well, at that point, Foxy, Carlton had won the 68, 70 and 72 flags with the recruitment of Ron Barassi on the back of that, and then the brilliance of John Nichols, as well as obviously other players. So it all come to into its own end. But during that middle 70s, they missed out on a number of opportunities, and they thought that they probably should have got one in that period.
Tell me this, Ken, and it's a good point, and for people that are out there, it really hurts with the work that's involved in getting a premiership, and you know that you could have had one. I think in 1977, North Melbourne came out of the blocks. I think North lost their first 5 games. Yeah. Collingwood had come from the bottom of the ladder to the top of the ladder under Hayden at 12, under Tommy. And I thought Carlton that year were a real chance to win the flag, but it wasn't to be. Is that one that went through to the keeper?
I agree with that, and I think it sort of, if you look at football all across the country, there'll be the teams that perhaps they think had the best team on paper, but something couldn't work coming into the finals when it was just not gelling, the opposition a little bit better with systems, a few injuries often takes a toll. So there's many reasons, and on the same token, if you take Hawthorn, probably that as good as Carlton were in that period, Hawthorn have certainly been as good, if not better, in recent years, and probably, they won one ahead of time, a few years back. So, young legs can work for you.
See, I reckon you had the greatest man on your side of all time that barracked for Carlton and pulled a few rules, and that's God. See, I reckon God barracks for Carlton, and I reckon he hates Collingwood supporters. There's no doubt in my mind. Because it wasn't fair in 1970. I was there, mate.
You're a bit biased.
No, I'm not. Well, he was Italian, wasn't he? They reckon he was an Eye-type.
What number did you have when you were jumper for Collingwood supporter? You know?
When I was a young fella, the best footballer I've seen at Collingwood in my time was Len Thompson.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I just thought Len Thompson was well and truly advanced in his stage through the midfield.
So he was number?
Lenny started off wearing number 28 because it was the only one that had fit him because it was Graham Fellows, his old jumper. And then he wore number 2 for a long time. Then they had that bit of a blue when him and Tutty wanted to go to Essendon, and did. And you would know then that everyone thought that footballers were getting £1 million to play football, and it wasn't quite the story. And Tomo was a great player. I just absolutely loved him. I think he was a new regime ruckman. I've seen some great ruckmen. Him, Simon Madden have been beauties.
Yeah, I knew Len. And Tuddy, I see a bit down in Port Melbourne, where we all live.
Yep.
I see Wayne Richardson a bit.
Great player, Richardson. Very underestimated player.
I see Peter McKenna a bit.
Yeah. Well, you're talking. Peter McKenna is still, from that day to this, the best kick for goal I've ever seen. If Peter McKenna was Tony Lockett, he would have. I mean, Lockett's got the record, but anyway, we're not here to talk about absolute champs, and we're not here to talk about grand finals. But in 1979, how far out was it?
Yeah, it was a couple of rows out, you know.
Yeah, I know.
You've got to confirm that.
Yeah, I know. But listen, we've had it confirmed.
Just so you blokes could sleep at
Are you in for a surprise today? Because we've confirmed it today. But anyway, now tell us about your lovely wife. You've got 4 girls and a boy?
Yeah, Wendy, and we have, that's right, we have 4 girls, Melissa and Carly. They're on a plane to Wimbledon today, so that's good. And we have Lauren, she's a boxing girl.
Yep.
And then Sam. So, and Sambo's the youngest. Footy was probably always what he was going to do. He was like a little tail light when I was coaching and that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And really loved it. But the family really loved the footy. I think Lauren sort of could have played on the MCG. I think that sort of stuff. But yeah, they're right into it. And here at Kyabram, Sam's here every week. Young Tom, which is my nephew, my brother.
Yeah.
Margie's oldest boy, he plays here, and so does Chloe's fiance and Axel Child. So it's
Axel Child.
Yeah, it's very good.
Well, there is a hard nut.
Yeah, it is.
I like the way he goes about the game, actually. Axel.
Yeah, no, he's straight at it, and there's a few other really good friends of people that the boys have got here, and that's really good stuff. Like Geordie Williams is an exceptional player.
Yep.
Billy Burston. There's just some really good group of young lads that here at Kai, and the reason they're here is probably Foxy is one of the major reasons was Chris Atkins, who back when I was coaching Chuka, he was probably, if not the best player in the comp, close enough to, and I was always trying to recruit him because I figured it'd get to make us stronger and make Kyabram weaker. It was a double barrel wing, but he would never come obviously, and he's just such a Kyabram through and through. But just an outstanding young man, and him and Sam are really good mates, and they're all really good mates. And Dave Williams, Kyabram for many years has had a non-playing coach. I think there's one year, perhaps in maybe, I don't know, research that, but maybe 20, where they've had 2 or 3 blokes, I think it might have been 3 that stepped in and coached for one season, players. But otherwise it's always been non-playing, and Dave was just terrific. He's a long time friend and foe of mine, but he's just terrific and really resonated with Sam and Tom, and then they just had a real good connection. So those guys were more than keen to come across here when Sam got the end of the road come at Brisbane. It's got to happen at some stage.
Yeah, of course it does.
He was 23. I was pretty proud of him. He packed his bags off. He went around the world, had a bit of a trip, come back and settled in. Got his building apprenticeship underway and just settled into playing some really good footy.
He's an affable young man. You and your wife, because it's not a single role, can be very happy. And I haven't met any of your girls, but it's a big job raising kids. And Sammy, right through the good times and bad times, even in this league, has always been friendly enough to say g'day, how are you, and all that sort of stuff. That's a credit to you, and your wife too.
Yeah, him and Katie got one of their own now, so we're grandparents with little Max, so it's all sort of it just keeps rolling, mate. But,
Maxie Urquhart, great player for Collingwood. He was named after a Collingwood footballer. They used to call him the Mudlark, Max Urquhart. Now, anyway, no one called Max favourite of his mob. Now you've got a big job to do at Carlton, and I won't go into that, but they're picking a new coach. You must love your Blue Boys, and you've got a big job between now and the end of the year to sort out who's going to be coaching.
Yeah, that's true. That the club has to do that, obviously. As do all clubs. So that's where that's at. But that's a process that'll take its time and will be very thorough.
Yep.
And Stephen Trigg heads that as the CEO of the club, chairs that committee. And we'll work our way through, and we'll come up with. I'm sure we'll interview some very high-class candidates, and I'm sure we'll come up with a ripper in the end.
Now, Kai Abram, it's keeping it. I spoke to the coach just a little while ago, and I like his approach, and I like the way he's talking. It's a 1 week at a time affair. The thing that I did notice about you today, as you approached this, Kenny, you went and sort of said go to as many players as you could, and that's reflective of a person whose priority is a football club. But I don't mind waiting for anybody, and I would, and particularly for you, Ken. But when you make your priority the things that are important to you, they're your players, your bread and butter, and all that sort of stuff. It was great to see you do that.
Well, it's a very important part of it, Foxy. These fellas, we can't play anymore. It's the best part of the game.
Yeah.
We can't do it anymore. So you've got to just try and facilitate them and get them in the best mindset that they possibly can. And Justin's very, very good at that.
Yep.
He's very good at preparing his players both in opposition analysis and in the tactical and strategy of the game plan that he's looking to do. He's very good. He's a good level of intelligence, and he's very good with his emotional intelligence. He understands. He thinks about what some of the other younger guys are doing. And we've got 4 or 5 players in our Kyabram side that are 20 or younger. Today we've got young Kyle Mueller coming back in from the Pioneers.
Yeah. Very good cricketer, young Kyle too, as well.
It's exceptional, yeah. And each of the Golden Valley clubs have this. I suppose this challenge of how to succession and keep bringing your most competitive side to the game every match, but also bringing the pipeline of next young players into your club.
Yep.
On and off the field, So like guys like Peter Victor, you just met out here before. There's a group of people here at Kyabram that work really hard behind the scenes to make sure that that's a really inviting and you can see where the club where it's headed. And so essentially, part of the reason of going and saying hello to those young fellas like that is just making them feel comfortable and thinking that, wow, what a good place this is to be. And that essentially is what you've got to do if you want to have a successful footy club, is having a place where people want to be.
You're exactly right, man, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Look, I could sit here and I'm not joking when I say this, I could sit here and talk to you for an hour and do an hour show, but time is of the essence. But I've got a little thing for you from the boys here. As I told you, we are volunteers at the GB Footy Show, but we're sponsored by a couple of great people. Harper and Morphs have generously got you one of this, though, you are our first inaugural T-shirt wearer, King. And you'll notice we've had a little grey. We're trying to save you here. We had your name put on it. Instead of people asking, you can just point to your left breast and say, yeah, it was out of bounds.
It was out of bounds. Or Foxy thinks it was.
Yeah.
It's the same as Tommy Hafey, quite. Sorry, up there, you're looking down there, a bit of a chuckle at you. But look, it's every day of my life that's mentioned. But look, thanks for this, Foxy.
Yeah.
This is a brand new one too. I'll be able to tell Peter Vic this,
Wait till you get the bill. You're in for a shot, mate. I told you we're volunteers. All right, Ken. All the best, mate. Wonderful to talk to you, and all the best of luck through the finals. We hope we can get together again with you.
That'd be good.
Good on you, mate. Ken Sheldon, he's a gun. Don't worry about that. Barris for Carlton? Played for Carlton? You're kidding me. He's a dud.
Well, there you go. That was Kenny Sheldon. He truly is one of the great people that I've met. I had the privilege of meeting football, and I hope you enjoyed what he had to say. He's a humble fellow, a great family man, and an all-round good bloke. And what a tragedy that he played in barracks for Carlton to this day.
Absolutely.
Guy. Absolutely. Sad thing. Guy, the mailbag, anything this week?
Yes, there is. G'day, Morph. We saw in the Shep News about Joe Perkovic receiving a 6-week suspension with 14 weeks hanging over his head. As a result, he is now deregistered. Do you think for every year with a clean record, a certain amount of weeks be deducted from the player's history? And that is a great letter from Lee in Ngambie. I was pretty vocal about this at the start, earlier on the show, about my opinion on this, and I haven't changed my opinion. I still think that once you get to that 16-week threshold, that I think the deregistration rule is a good rule, and I still think it should be in place. However, I do agree that once a player has a bit of a clean history for a year or 2 years, it may be that a week or 2 week is deducted from over their head, if you like to call it. I think that is a good rule because we want to see good players playing this game, don't we?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. But in saying that, if the rule is so good, why isn't it in the AFL? There'd be a lot of blokes playing AFL football now who wouldn't be playing AFL football.
Good call.
Yeah, and look, to me, I think, yeah, all right, we brought it in, and it was brought in through a couple of incidents a few years ago, Foxy, as you know.
Correct.
Okay, now that's fine, but I believe if a player has a clean skin for 12 months, 2 weeks should come off his penalty. Now, if he's even up to 14 weeks, it's going to take 7 years to get him back clear again. So I believe each year the player should have 2 weeks deducted from him. Now, but you know, and sometimes maybe the tribunal's not right. Let's take Sammy Brennan for instance. He's copped 6 weeks. Now that's a big penalty with a 14 or 16 week thing hanging over your head. Now, if he has a couple of weeks where a couple of years with clean skin, he should have 2 to 4 weeks knocked off his sentence straight away.
We can't probably judge about what's happened because that's transpired. But I think, did it come about because there was a stigma in country football that it was a dirty thing to come and play country football? Was that why it was introduced?
I've got to tell you that I played metropolitan football in Melbourne, and the same rules apply on every football field in Australia. It's a contact sport.
But I think also I might have turned around after a bit of a Euroa grand final one year too, Foxy, here. You know, when there was a few little things happened behind play, but me, no, I just think there should be 2 weeks taken off every year.
Well, I reckon to in any other form, any other judicial system, if you are found guilty and you serve the time that's involved in that crime, once you've done that time, that should be thrown out the window. It's like if you do your licence for .05, you'll lose it for so long. If you do 2 years in jail for assault, and then you do your time, you might come out and do another assault with a hunk of wood in your hand. Once you've done that time, it's clean slated. I think to just say to a bloke, it is all over forever.
Yeah.
I think that's way too
it
late.
takes away a lot of what people love about football, and I'm a big believer in rehabilitation, and I think what that can do to somebody if they know that, okay, for example, for every year JR from now on that you be a good boy and you play by the rules, you get 2 weeks taken off.
Yeah.
That to me says
gives you
incentive to do the right thing. So it's a good letter, and it is a really good letter.
Yeah, but bear in mind he can't coach or anything. You can have no involvement.
No, and that's why it's tough. It is tough. So good letter. Morphs Mailbag at gmail.com. Please send in anything you like because it's good, and we might even get a good honest answer out of these two idiots here.
Well, I did too, and you contradicted yourself in your first answer.
No, I
didn't want to bring that up. But so to avoid you talking about suspensions and one thing and t'other, I'm going to let you talk about t'other.
Who's t'other?
Now I'm going to let you talk about the Mansfield and United game, Guy.
Mansfield beat Tatura up there by 34 points last week, boys, and to me that is a sensational effort. To travel, what would Mansfield be location-wise? 2.5 hours from Tatura?
Yeah, probably more. They've had 2 bad weeks. They went to Rochester, then they've gone to Tatura.
So that, exactly right. So they've gone, within 2 weeks, they've gone 2.5 hour trips. That is underrated how good an effort that is up at Tatura. I'd just like to put that out there. George Burberry kicked 7 goals, boys, and this he's electric up forward. He's just starting to come good.
Yes.
And so he should be an ex-AFL player, but he is just starting to settle himself into this league. Gallia, Balcombe and Ben Fagan were all very good. Ben Fagan's a good player, and I like the way he presents himself up forward, Ben. Dale Ayres, a bloke from Tassie, we didn't know much about him, has really impacted himself onto the league. Jamie Sheen, we know his quality, kicked 2 goals. Adam Bashevsky. Nick Gray is so important into this Mansfield lineup, and when he's not having his VFL alignment, Mansfield would be very happy. Boys, I'm gonna love this week watching Big Jones and Neves in the ruck duel. It's going to be a great battle this week. I love the way Jones goes about it, and he's going to have to be on his game, Neves, because Jones will work hard around the ground, and that's probably a little bit thing we're a bit critical of Neves, is just how hard he works around the ground. Over to United, lost to Rochester by 30 points, and it's not all doom and gloom. I think that Rochester are a very, very good side. McEnany didn't play, and it shows because United need a power forward up there. So obviously no goals from McEnany, and I don't know whether he'll return this week, but A bloke called Lloyd chipped in for 3 goals. As I said, Neves was good last week, but it's going to be a big test for you this week against Jones. A bloke called, and sorry if I pronounce your name wrong here, Kaya. Okay. C-A-I-A. Kaya. Okay. Maroni.
Yeah.
Rendina and Goodwin and DeBella have all been good. Luby, will he go to Ben Fagan? That'll be a sensational matchup. So, yeah, look, United need a bit of a bigger spread of goal kickers, but over at Mansfield this week, I think Mansfield will get the job done.
Yes, very important for United. I think their finals aspirations will go out the door if they don't win this one, guys.
I think they're gone, John.
Yeah, and I think at home...
United, I don't think they'll play finals this year.
I think they're a chance, United, but I reckon Mansfield will probably buy about 5 points.
I'm with you, Johnny, and you're going to tell us all about this. Will be a very good game. This is going to be.
This is a big
you
game.
Talk about things that are the catalyst for the finals when you've got.
I'll go to this game this week, I think, David.
Yeah, Euroa on 26 points. Yeah. And the Swannies are on 24 points. Yeah. They get Madden back this week. But to find out all about it, here's John Ryan.
Yeah, look, the Swans 6 and 4. They're sitting 5th on the ladder, and of course Euroa 6-3 and 1, sitting 3rd on the ladder. Swannies, they gave Tatura their biggest defeat for the year last week on 74 points, which was a big effort over in Bulldog Lang, and Euroa got up by 38 points by over Shepparton, which was a pretty good performance. Look, the thing to go into the gate and see Justin Madden line up against Adam Tarrant. I just think it'll be fantastic. Madden's kicked 47, he didn't play last week. Caden Antonovich has got 22 goals now, Foxy. Andrew Reardon, I believe, is probably one of the most underrated players in this league. I think he's a superstar, this bloke in the league, and he doesn't get the cutest that he should get. I think he's a very, very good player. Jed Wright, who's coming from the KDL, I think he came from, he's kicked 3 goals from last week. In the ruck, look through the midfield, it's going to be really telling, and the midfield on Swannies ground, Foxy and Guy is very important. Mitch Bell up against Johnny Apuku. Brody Charles, we know, is playing really good football. BJ Squires on the wing, he's playing, his last month has been sensational. Now, probably do the Hayes play, the Will and JD Hayes. If they do, I'd like to see, say, JD Hayes go to him to try and shut him down. Quade Johnson, look, there's a lot been said about Quade Johnson. I love the way this bloke plays. He's been criticised for his kicking, but I look at it this way. If he's getting it 30 times and he's pushing it deep into their forward line 30 times, there's enormous amount of pressure on the opposition side. So you just keep doing what you're doing, Quade, because you do a great job. And don't listen to him.
You've just hit the nail.
Hang on just a minute.
If you hit the nail, you've still got to get the footy, John.
Still got to get the footy.
Half your battle's getting the footy.
Oh, he's a gun. He's been in their best 6 times. Paul Fry's a bloke that's been really, really good for him. Tommy Priest, Foxy, you're going to miss him. He's crucial to him down back, Tommy Priest. Josh Chapman, I reckon if Cunningham, if he goes forward, I reckon Josh Chapman's the bloke to go to him to try and pick him up, because I don't think Tommy Campbell, Tinkler, I don't reckon they're the right matchup for him. Chapman is, because Cunningham's a real hard.
It's hard to match up when he goes forward.
Cunningham, very, very hard. For the Euroa side, Jordan Taylor, Horsburgh and Baker down back have been really good. We spoke about Tarrant, the best fullback in the league. Then you got Trotter, Hayes, Anchors, as you just had a go at. He's been really, really good for him. Andrew Bell, he's been in the best 7 times, but in the last few weeks he's been a little bit quiet. For him, he needs to stand up. Nathan Gillian, he's been terrific for him, with 20 goals. Snowden, Patton, Gleeson, Cunningham and Bamford down 4. Bamford's got 14 goals now, Foxy, so he's been really, really important to him. But look, the Swans, 39 shots last week. They had a kid by the name of Jared Service. Played his first game for last week, so it's good to see some of these kids come up. This is going to be a sensational game. I think it's going to be one through the midfield. If they can shut Squires and Quade Johnson and those type lanes, they're going to go a long way to winning the game. And that's why I'm going to pick Euroa by 5 points.
Well, I've got to tell you, normally I just think the bloke who has been sensational for them all year is a huge out. There's many roles Tommy Priest could have filled for the Swannies, and he'd be the ideal to put to a Bamford, and he would be. But then one door shuts, another one opens. You've still got other goal kicking power down there, but Bamford's playing good footy. Well, he might be kicking high number of goals, but he's presenting and he's sharing the ball better than most. And for that reason, I think Euroa will win it by about 3 to 4 goals.
If you see the sharing of goals, Euroa got a better spread than the Swans at the moment.
Yep. Guy, you're...
Yeah, Nate Trotter didn't play last week, and he probably won't play this week, just to point that out there, boys.
Yeah.
But, there's a couple of good matchups. Absolutely, Justin Madden and Tarrant will be one to watch. Another one, too, Mitch Bell and Akupu. Johnny's been a little bit down lately at Euroa, and I'd be the first to say that. So that'll be... I like the way Mitch Bell goes about it in the ruck. So,
very good
this will be a tough game for Euroa. And their history at Shep Swans at Princess Park isn't that crash hot. So I agree, it will be one in the midfield, and it will be won by the power forwards.
And the hardest, if Andrew Ridden goes forward, I think that's where Euroa will have a lot of trouble matching him up going forward, because he is a super player.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you all about Rochester and Maroopna, and what a game this promises to be. It's going to be an absolute beauty. I do think this will tell us the story of Maroopna, John.
Yes.
I really do, in every aspect of the game, because they will go in underdogs. Rochester on top, undefeated. One of the big stories that's coming out of Rochester week in, week out, and that's the desire these boys have to play well under their coach, and James Flaherty.
Oh, he's got him playing well.
He's got him. There's no doubt about that. They've got some players that regularly feature for them. James Gladhill's getting himself going down back. Nick Knight's, what a good player Nick Knight is.
Running off the halfback.
Yeah, well, Nathan Moroney, gun. Daniel Anderson, Dylan Williams, playing terrific footy. Jordan Foot's an interesting one. Of course, you got Lee Millard, the ever-reliable Ash Watson.
I think he's having his best year, Ash Watson.
Oh, I would, yeah, okay. Absolutely.
I'd agree.
Yeah, and then you've got Nick O'Connor. Dylan Crutchers, I think, is up for 150 games.
Last week.
Well done, Dylan.
Is he?
So congratulations. You've got Elliot Bowen, and what a focal point he is. Stephen Strubant's another one. Heath Aikens, I believe, was best on the ground last year, so they're looking good. And on top of all those names I've just mentioned, I think the big fella Sammy Brennan, who was the informed ruckman at the point of his suspension, returns to the side this week. So it's all good news for Rochester.
Would he come straight back into the season?
Yeah, I would straight away. One bloke you missed there, I reckon, Chris Sanders, however it's been out.
Yep.
This bloke is a super player. I've watched him a couple of times now. Last year he carried a lot of injuries. The couple of games I've seen him this year, he is a very dangerous centre-half forward.
One of the things about Maroopna is they've got enthusiasm, they've got a sprinkling of youth, they've got some great campaigners, and Spiro Fagalis, he still represents danger to any opposition side that takes him for granted. Luke Conker is unbelievably strong for a boy his size.
Not as good as last year.
Oh, well, I think he's going okay, Luke, don't you worry about that. Daniel Lewis is in the top 5 in the competition. That's in my book, and I'm sticking to it. Brent Arho's proven his worth at full forward. He's kicked 24 goals for the season. Now, before I get to Shane McDonald, you've got Trent Freer, you've got Alex Tattersall's a young man that's got a lot to learn.
Goes good in the
but he gives you a contest. Simon Russell's a good player. Dean Smith, what a young man he is, and what a future he's got in football. Then getting back to McDonald, he's the key to them. If McDonald has he can have a day. We spoke about that boy before, Johnny, that might have the ball 28 times in Will Martinello. Will Martinello we were talking about. If Shane McDonald has the ball 24, 25 games, you think he hasn't really featured. But have a study of Shane McDonald's disposal either side of his foot. He's a powerhouse kick. Ryan Thompson, well, he's got to go back to the half-back line and stay there. He's a good player. Dylan Cornick's a good player. Johnston, as in Dylan, he's another good player. Kane Boyer, keep going the way you are. Kane, you're having a great year. Liam Betson is another boy that's putting it together really well. I cannot see Maroopna beating Rochi, and I can't at Rochi, but I can see that these are the sort of games that Blake will find out more and more about his younger brigade, because he knows the campaigners, but he'll find out more about his younger brigade. If they can fire up, I don't think the loss will be that bad. I think Rochi by about 3 goals.
Yeah, look, I think Maroopna, to me, when they bring their A-grade game, they are a very, very good side. But they've got A, B and C. So when they turned up, they've got too many different ones. Like there's a kid by the Mitchell Gent who played his first game last week and got Maroopna's best player. So well done to the young bloke. But what I didn't like about their score last week, in the second and last quarter, they kicked 1 goal for each of the quarters. So I think they'll struggle there, and I'll go for Rochi.
I'll tell you what I did see, David, through the week was Maroopna had their ball last week, and a few photos on my Facebook feed came across.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, a few of those...
We won't talk about young girls.
No, a few of those lads and ladies scrubbed up very nicely.
A few of those pussies were all
right.
Same
at United. Anyway, John, moving right along.
Oh, they're pussycats.
Maroopna Cats.
Correct.
The broadcast game, as I said, is Seymour and Tatura, and Guy, you'll tell us all about that. Have you got your notes in order, guys?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, looks Seymour last week beat Kyron by 2 points, and now's the time if you want to question why I said about what I did last week, and I can answer it in a minute. But Scanlon for Seymour, best on ground the last 2 weeks, boys. So he's obviously again going to be up there for medal contention this year. Bloke called Grenfell in the ruck. I love the way he went about it. We went and watched him 2 weeks ago, and he's not. We use words all the time like superstar and A grader, and he's not one of those. But he will give you everything he has. Meredith must have been good. Jason Cole was good. Scopel kicked 3 goals, boys. Hugh Robinson. Great job on Burston. I was critical of him last week on the show on the job that he did on Madden the week before. Now, to come back around like that, Hugh, and you're only a young fella, and to turn around and answer like that and keep a bloke to 2 goals who is an A-grade player is a great effort. So well done. Winter Irving, 2 goals.
He's got something special.
He does, yeah.
He's an 18, 19-year-old. He's got a bit of talent, this kid.
I was impressed with Seymour last week, kicking 4 goals for the last quarter. So they've had 8 scoring shots in the last quarter. And you've got to remember at 3-quarter time, boys, they were 20 points down. So, look, that's a great effort by Seymour. Moving over to Echuca, lost to Mansfield by 34 points, and it probably, in fairness, should have been one they should have got at home. Simon Buckley, what a great year he's having. Another best on ground performance, and another one who will be probably in contention in a lower side for the medal. Ben Reid again was good. O'Sullivan, Phillips, Magna Bosco, Monagatti, and a boy called Florence, a big fella down there, was good as well. So. My question for Seymour is, can they keep this consistency? And that last week, what I was getting at was they were poor against Swans. They've been really good this week. What are we going to see this week from Seymour? And I just think they need to plateau out and get that consistency in their game. Okay, they've got blokes like O'Keefe, Bongetty and Colbert to come back, but I was critical of them last week, and it is a sensational effort to win by 2 points, but consistency is a key.
I think games like that can be year defining. And I reckon, we've all had them up there, and I think last week's game will now give them belief that they are good enough to match it with their best, and I think it'll turn their whole year around. If it doesn't, it's goodbye.
I saw a couple of classic things last week, and with the Seymour people, they've still got this huge passion for their club, as all good clubs have. But I want to highlight one boy that Seymour recruited, a fella called Walsh from the A Football Club. He wore number 6.
He was good.
He is a very, very good player. But the 2 things that stood out to me was, look, honestly, they were getting flogged, Seymour. They were in all sorts of trouble. But they never panicked. And Brent Colbert coached very well, Brent. Well done. But it was great at half-time, when they were still a couple of goals down or thereabouts, 3/4 time, they were certainly a couple of goals down. I saw Glenn Cole, whose boy plays for thing. He took Xavier McMahon away from the huddle and they all came in. And Glenn would have put about 2 or 3 minutes into the big X-Man, Xavier. But it was fantastic from one point of view, because later on that day, Xavier kicked the goal that they won him. But the campaigners were there. The people that know and watch footy, they were there to say that, well, Seymour could win this if you just keep trying. But for me, the magic moment out of their win last week, and, it really was a magic moment, Brent Colbert and Bernie Hapeman met, and they celebrated that win on the ground
like they'd
won a grand final, because they knew their side on paper only, was 10 goals under, but with heart and determination, they ended up being 2 points better. And learning, you never ever stop learning with football. And Gary Brown, a great mate of ours, Gary Brown, when the game was really tight, Seymour had a 2-point lead, and Gary Brown came up that stair, and his hips crooked.
His hips crooked, he's bugged, he can't walk.
How long to go? How long to go,
what is it? Well, he's wheeling out.
But they were just, it was fantastic. And so well done to Seymour. I think Kyra a bit stiff when they lost their coach. They lost a bit of direction. That's what I.
No, they weren't good enough.
Okay, all right. Thank you, John. Well, Johnny,
yes,
you have got Tatura and Benalla.
Yeah, well, the Bulldogs, they suffered their biggest defeat last week at 74 points. They're sitting 12, of course. Coming up against Benalla, who are just starting to hit the train now. They're just about to take off. Benalla 6-4, sitting 4th on the ladder, won by 55 points over it. That's a very good win. If you look at their forward line, Warnock, who's doing a little bit in the ruck now, Nick Mellington, Tommy O'Brien, Josh Mellington. He kicked 9 last week, which was a great performance. He's been in their best 6 times and he's kicked 45 goals for the year. A bloke that's been good from is Michael Exton. He's a
Mitch.
Mitch, I should say. Mitch Exton. He's kicked 13 goals from a 10.5 foot. He's another bloke who gets under the radar. But then you get into the class in the midfield. James Martin. Make no mistake, this kid is going to be a superstar. I rate this kid very high.
All of them are good. The Marks.
Oh yeah, 3 of them are sensational, but they're all sensational. But this bloke's only an 18, 19-year-old. He's a gun. Sammy Martin. Well, we just know how good he is. He's been in the best 8 times, and he's kicked 5 goals through the midfield.
Got a fairly nice injury last week, Sammy Martin. They might missing for a few weeks.
Well,
Sam or Brooke?
I think it was Sammy done his shoulder.
And Will Martinello, well, we spoke about Will before. I rate this bloke. I reckon he's a superstar, and anyone can be in their best 9 times. He's kicked 6 goals through the midfield. As I said last week, before, he has to get 28 now before he's even recognised. I think he's an absolute gunner.
John, are people too hard on Will Martinello, and are people too hard on Benalla Football Club?
I think a lot of people don't see what Will Martinello does.
Yep.
His handballs, like some of his, he could have 20 possessions just with handballs, but they're that quick, people don't even know or seen that he's done it. So, go there and watch the game and watch what this bloke does. He's a superstar of this league, make no mistakes about that. Lukey Morgan, it's good to see you back in the best players. You've made Davey very, very happy that you're back in the best players.
Man, number 22.
Al Jacker, well, we just...
Number 1, love Al.
He's your
number 7, Al.
Then you got Brooke Martin, Jaden Gumpy and Lockie Smith back there. Look, they're coming up against the Bulldogs.
Been quiet, Lockie Smith.
Yeah, he has. With the Bulldogs backline, Penner, the 2 Ryan boys, Sean Martin, I reckon he'll get the job on Joshy Mellington. Look, he's had a couple of big jobs, young Shawnee. He had Daniel Lewis. He's a really, really good kid. Through the midfield, maybe Timmy Lanyon will go to James Martinello. Jamison Daniels, does he go with Sam or Lee Warnett? Ryan McGough and Daniel Flynn. Flinny was down a little bit. Young Cornwall's a good young player. I reckon probably young Cornwall, they might give him... My situation with Cornwall, I'd give him the job on James Martin Foxy to teach him how to play the game, because this kid's a superstar. And then you got Kirby, Borelli, Lovell. Look, their biggest loss last week, but Benalla, they keep producing them. Young Patrick Robertson last week played his first game for him, kicked a goal for him. They kicked 6-4 in the first quarter last week. It just shows you they're up and about. And Mellington, look, he's capable of kicking 6 or 10 in this game. But Benalla for me, boys.
We speak about barometers for clubs, and Luke Morgan, when he's playing well, watch Benalla's results.
Oh yeah.
What people do with coaches and people like Luke is, and we probably have joked and mucked around and been a bit hard on him, but when he's going well, you watch Benalla all just filing behind him, and because he's a leader and he's a good player. Well done, Luke.
Look, he's swallowed that piano and he's got rid of that now and he's right now.
Yeah, well, I think he's,
he's a good player.
He's a catalyst to them.
You dealt with him a bit hardly, John, so anyway,
I've got him fired up. I've got him right.
All good news for Benalla. All good news for Benalla. I know their favourites. The Martin injury is a huge concern, but they get Priest back. He's coming back through the twos this week, so Benalla losing a gun for a gun. And I will go Benalla in pretty severe fashion. Well, I've got Kai Abram and Shepparton now. Shepparton started off and were very, very good in the first half last week. And I think with the youth thing, you got to have a belief that you can win games. And that's all that Brad's got to get into these boys. Because if you can match it with them at half time, and I know that Brad would have those boys rock hard fit. They'd be as fit as any side in this competition. But I think they lose a sense of belief that they can go on and win games. Maybe last week that went out the window, I don't know. But Kai Abram, for me, they were a little bit disappointing last week, but in fairness to them, when Justin Sherman went off the ground, they like we spoke about the Morgan thing, Sherman was providing great direction for them up and down, right through the centre corridor and right deep down forward, and he was a huge out to them.
But they can't be one-dimensional either, Fox.
No, I agree with that. But had other... Well, I wish you wouldn't do that. Don't do it again. I'm going to put something on your tongue. Billy Burston was well held last week, and consequently it represents one problem to me that Kai Abram have got, and that is they are one-dimensional. And it seems to be a Kai Abram trait, because they certainly had it in years gone by, but they had a lot more ability around him.
Were they one-dimensional when they had Paul Newman there?
Oh, on occasions they were, yeah.
What Foxy's saying there is 100% right.
It is, but what Burston...
They've got to find another...
But Burston needs to... We've interrupted, he's not going to like this. Yeah. But Burston needs to stand up too.
Oh, yeah. And Reece Clark's kicked 10.
Carry on.
Go, David.
Nick Colstock tried hard, so do I. Like the way Alex Shoulder goes about his business, I do. And Liam Ogden, probably his second half wasn't as good as his first half. Josh Vick was very, very good down back. Brad Edwards, I just like everything about Brad Edwards. He's a
Good player.
He's one of those players, and Sammy Sheldon has been a pretty proven asset down back, and then they probably threw him up forward. Myself personally, John, I would have thrown Morgan on, and it's worked for them before, on the ball as a ruck rover, just to give him something, because he can get the ball out of the centre. He's a super player, but they may have played into their hands a little bit by keeping him out of the play, which you can do. I know that when the Swans won the flag, once Lovick got himself involved in the play, he turned it around for the Swans a bit. Shepparton, well, they've got some great young men coming. They've still got their campaigners, Xavier Stevenson, Reece O'Sullivan, Nick Allen, Rowan Hiscott. Yeah, look, they all are. Daniel Willis, well, one of the biggest kids in the league, and he's going to be a good player. And I said it earlier in the year, and I'll go on with it. He's got a lot to learn. But a young man called Dion Metzner, he is built like a brick. He's huge.
He's as big as this bloke up here. He is a power unit.
He's sit properly. Mine want to take it over.
He's got muscle. He can feed 5 calves.
Mine want to slip down and take it over my belt. You've still got blokes like Bowmaker and that are wonderful players, and they've got that's exactly right.
Didn't
you
play,
keep on doing
this
this
weekend.
So, but Shepparton, I guess to a certain extent, Brad's got his things in place, and the Shepparton people have got to be patient, because every time I've seen them, there's been improvement. But you could build a side around that board centre half.
I think Kai last week, they kicked 2-11 in the second quarter, Foxy, which was, wasn't really good, and they kicked 1-1 in the last quarter. But I think when Lukey Morris didn't play, I think when Lukey comes back, they've got to push him forward, because they're a bit like the Swannies, one-dimensional with Billy. If they shut him down, Reece Clark's only got his 10 goals. He can play, but I think they have to find a couple more forwards. So when they are going forward, and if Billy Durston is shut down, they've got other avenues to goals.
I can tell you now at half-time, Fox, and you're right. At half-time last week, Shepparton, talk about their fitness, were absolutely smashing Euroa on the spread. So don't worry about that. Yeah. It's just a learning thing, and Brady's doing a good job. He will teach these kids, when they're in that position, how to then win games of football. And it won't be far away, because last week at half-time, I'll tell you now, Euroa had a few concerns.
Okay, well, you heard it all here on the show tonight. I hope you really enjoyed the show.
Now, one thing before next week, can we stop hearing this vomit coming out of this bloke's mouth about Benalla being the favourite? Because at the moment, as far as I'm concerned, Rochester are a street ahead.
What we're going to do next week is a different show completely in terms of...
Is that a chance, John?
You want to slab on it?
When people get to talk about a game, they're going to start talking about it from the start to the finish. Not that one, and that one, Whoever starts it will finish it. That'll be one huge difference. Big show for you next week. Hope you really, really enjoyed... the Ken Sheldon. He's a wonderful man, as I said.
We've got some big interviews next week too.
Yeah, we have. We've got the Campbells by 3. Give you a little bit of an insight to that. Have a safe weekend, and we look forward to talking to you people next week. On behalf of Guy Morford, John Ryan, adios.